The Three Strangers by Thomas Hardy.
Higher Crowstairs was a house that stood quite detached and undefended. The only reason for its precise situation seemed to be the crossing of two footpaths at right angles, which may have crossed there for a good 500 years. Hence, the house was exposed to the elements on all sides. But though the wind up there blew unmistakably and the rain hit hard whenever it fell, the winter weather was not quite so formidable up on the down as it was imagined to be by the dwellers on lower ground. But on the night of March 28, the weather hit hard. The level rainstorm lashed walls, slopes and hedges. The gable end of the cottage was stained with the wet, and the eaves droppings flapped against the wall. This contrasted markedly with events inside. There, the shepherd and his family who tenanted the house were entertaining a large party to celebrate the christening of their second girl. 19 guests were gathered and enjoyment was pretty general. Shepherd Fennel had married well, his wife being a dairyman's daughter from a distant vale who brought 50 guineas in her pocket and kept them there till they should be required for the needs of a coming family. For the party, Shepherdess Fennel had decided on a plan to mingle short dances with short periods of talk and singing. The fiddler was a local boy of about 12 years of age who had a wonderful dexterity in jigs and reels. This was accompanied by a booming ground bass from Elijah New, the parish clerk, who had brought with him his favourite instrument, a serpent.
You are on no account to let the dance exceed the length of a quarter of an hour.
Yes, ma'am.
At 7 o'clock, the shrill tweedledee of the youngster began. Dancing was instantaneous, but in the excitement of their position, Elijah and the boy quite forgot Mrs Fennel's injunction. And so the dance whizzed on with a growing cumulative fury. The performers moved in their planet-like courses from apogee to perigee till the hand of the well-kicked clock at the bottom of the room had travelled over the circumference of a full hour. At last the notes of the serpent ceased and the house was silent.
Walk in!
The rain is heavy, friends. I ask leave to come in and sit a while.
To be sure, stranger. And faith, you be lucky in choosing your time, for we are having a bit of a fling for a glad cause. Oh, to be sure, a man could hardly wish that cause to happen more than once a year.
And what may be this glad cause?
A birth, and a christening for my second born.
Well, sir, I hope that you may not be made unhappy either by too many or too few of such episodes.
Here, drink with us.
Why, thank you, sir.
'Tis late to be traipsing thwart this combe, eh?
Late it is, master, as you say. I'll take a seat in the chimney corner, if you have nothing to urge against it, ma'am, for I am a little moist on the side that was next to the rain.
Of course.
That's warming. Yes, I am rather cracked in the vam, and I am not well fitted in the boot department either. I've had some rough times lately, and I've been forced to pick up what I can get in the way of wearing. I must find a suit better to fit for working days when I reach home.
One of hereabouts?
Not quite that. Further up the country.
I thought so, and so be I. And by your tongue, you come from my neighbourhood.
But you would hardly have heard of me. My time would be long before yours, ma'am, you see.
Oh.
There is only one thing more wanted to make me happy, and that is a little baccy, which I'm sorry to say I am out of.
Oh, I'll fill your pipe.
I must ask you to lend me a pipe likewise.
A smoker? No pipe about it.
I must have dropped it somewhere on the road.
Hand me that baccy box. I'll fill that too, know him about it.
Oh,
You lost that too?
I'm afraid so. Give it me in a screw of paper.
Walk in!
I must ask for a few minutes' shelter, comrades, or I shall be wetted to my skin before I get to Casterbridge.
Make yourself at home, master.
Thank you. I shall sit by the chimney corner.
Evening, master.
In, sir.
Here, have a drop of this.
Oh, thank ye. I know it. When I walked up your garden and saw the hives all in a row, I said to myself, where there's bees, there's honey, and where there's honey, there's mead. But mead of such a truly comfortable sort as this, I really didn't expect to meet in my older days.
Glad you enjoyed it.
It is goodish mead. It is trouble enough to make, and really, I hardly think that we shall make any more. For honey sells well, and we ourselves can make shift with a drop of small mead and methglin for common use from the comb washings.
Oh, but you'll never have the heart. I love mead when 'tis old like this, as I love to go to church on Sundays or to relieve the needy any day of the week.
That's a good un.
Well, as I say, I'm going to Casterbridge, and to Casterbridge I must go. I should have been almost there by this time, but the rain drove me into your dwelling, and I'm not sorry for it.
You don't live in Casterbridge?
Not as yet, but though I shortly mean to move there.
Going to set up in trade, perhaps?
Oh, no. It's easy to see that this gentleman is rich and don't want to work at anything.
Rich is not quite the word for me, dame. I do work, and I must work. And even if I only get to Casterbridge by midnight, I must begin my work there at 8 tomorrow morning. Yes, het or wet, blow or snow, my day's work tomorrow must be done.
Poor man. Then in spite of seeming, you be worse off than we.
But 'tis the nature of my trade, men and maidens. 'Tis the nature of my trade, more than my poverty. But really and truly, I must be off, or I shan't get a lodging in the town. But there's time for one more draught of friendship before I go, and I'd perform it at once, if my mug were not dry.
Here's a mug of small. Small, we call it, though to be sure 'tis only the first wash of the coons.
No, I won't spoil your first kindness by partaking of your second.
Certainly not. We don't increase and multiply every day, and I'll fill the mug again.
Why should you do this? He's emptied it once, though it held enough for 10 people. And now he's not contented with the small, but must needs call for more of the strong. And a stranger, unbeknown to any of us. For my part, I don't like the look of the man at all.
But he's in the house, my honey. And 'tis a wet night and a christening. Days it, what's a cup of mead more or less? There'll be plenty more next bee burning.
Oh, very well, this time then. But what is the man's calling, and where is he one of that he should come in and join us like this?
I don't know. We'll ask him again. Here you go then.
Thank you.
So, what is your business then, sir?
Anybody may know my trade. I'm a wheelwright.
A very good trade in these parts.
And anybody may know mine, if they've the sense to find out.
You may generally know what a man is by his claws.
True, but the oddity of my trade is that instead of setting a mark on me, It sets a mark upon my customers.
Let us have another song.
I will sing. Oh, my trade it is the rarest one, simple shepherds all. My trade is a sight to see. For my customers I tie, and then take 'em up on high, and waft 'em to a far country. Ha ha ha! Let's have a chorus.
Yes!
And waft 'em to a far country.
Second verse, stranger.
My tools are but common ones, simple shepherds all. My tools are no sight to see. A little hempen string and a post whereon to swing are implements enough for me. What was that all about?
He's the hangman. He's come to do it. 'Tis to be at Casterbridge jail tomorrow. The man for sheep stealing, the poor clockmaker we heard of, who used to live away at Shottsford and had no work to do. Timothy Summers, whose family were a starving. So he went out to Shottsford by the high road and took a sheep in open daylight, defying the farmer, his wife, and every man jack of 'em. He's come from up the country to do it, because there's not enough to do in his county town. And he's got the place here, now that our own county man is dead. He's gonna live in the same cottage under the prison wall.
A toast to you, fellow traveller. Tomorrow is my working.
Walk in!
Can you tell me the way to Casterbridge?
Tomorrow is my working day, simple shepherds all. Tomorrow is our working day for me. For the farmer's sheep is slain, and the lad who did it ta'en, and on his soul may God have mercy. And on his soul may God have mercy.
Oh, my word. Oh, my lord. It is him.
What a man can that be?
Be jiggered.
What does that mean?
A prisoner escaped from the jail. That's what it means.
I've often been told that in this county they fire a gun at such times, but I never heard it till now.
I wonder if it is my man.
Surely it is. And surely we've zeed him. That little man that looked in at the door by now and quivered like a leaf when he seed ye and heard your song.
His teeth chattered and the breath went out of his body.
And his heart seemed to sink within him like a stone.
And he bolted as if he'd been shot at.
True. His teeth chattered, and his heart seemed to sink, and he bolted as if he'd been shot at.
Oh, he didn't notice.
We were all a-wondering what made him run off in such a fright, and now 'tis explained.
Is there a constable here? If so, let him step forward.
Aye, sir.
You are a sworn constable?
I be, sir.
Then pursue the criminal at once, with assistance, and bring him back here. He can't have gone far.
I will, sir, I will. When I've got my staff, I'll go home and get it and come sharp here and start in a body.
Staff? Never mind your staff, the man'll be gone.
But I can't do nothing without my staff, can I? William and John and Charles Jake? No, for there's the King's royal crown painted on it in yeller and gold, and the lion and the unicorn. So as when I raisen up and hit my prisoner, 'tis make us a lawful blow thereby. I wouldn't tempt to take up a man without my staff. No, not I. If I hadn't the law to give me courage, why, instead of my taking up him, he might take up me.
Now, I'm a king's man myself, and I can give you authority enough for this. Now then, all of you be ready. Have you any lanterns?
Yes, have you any lanterns? I demand it.
And the rest of you able-bodied?
Able-bodied men? Yes, the rest of you.
Have you some good stout staves and pitchforks?
Staves and pitchforks in the name of the law, and take 'em in your hands and go in quest, and do as we in authority tell ye.
Let's go!
Let's go! Gotta get this man. After it's our duty.
Oh, Lord, it's my little un. Let us go see her.
Yes, let's.
Food.
Oh, you here? I thought you'd gone to help with the capture. Now, where is that lovely mead I left behind? Ah.
And I thought you had gone.
Well, on second thoughts, I felt there were enough without me. And such a night as it is, too. Besides, 'tis the business of the government to take care of its criminals, not mine.
True. So it is. And I felt as you did, that there were enough without me.
I don't want to break my limbs running over the humps and hollows of this wild country.
Nor I neither. Between you and me.
These shepherd people are used to it, simple-minded souls. You know, stirred up to anything in a moment. They'll have him ready for me before the morning, and no trouble to me at all.
They'll have him, and we shall have saved ourselves all labour in the matter.
True. Well, my way is to Casterbridge, and 'tis as much as my legs will do to take me that far. Going the same way?
No, I'm sorry to say I have to get home over yonder, and I feel as you do, that it is quite enough for my legs to do before bedtime.
Well, fare thee well then.
And you too.
Can you see him? Is he over there? Come on. Let's see him.
Where do we go now?
This way, over by that ash tree. I can see somebody. Hey, come on, let's go.
Your money or your life?
No. 'Tisn't our side ought to say that. That's the doctrines of vagabonds like him. And we be on the side of the law.
Well, I must say something, mustn't I? And if you had the weight of this undertaking on your mind, perhaps you'd say the wrong thing too. Prisoner at the bar, surrender in the name of the Father. Oh, the crown I mean.
The man under the tree seemed now to notice them for the first time, and giving them no opportunity whatever for exhibiting their courage, he strolled slowly towards them. He was indeed the little man, the third stranger, but his trepidation had, in a great measure, gone.
Well, travellers, did I hear ye speak to me?
You did. You've got to come and be our prisoner at once. We arrest thee on the charge of not biding in Casterbridge jail in a decent proper manner to be hung tomorrow morning. Neighbours, do your duty and seize the culprit.
Hey, come on, let's go.
On hearing the charge, the man seemed enlightened and, saying not another word, resigned himself with uncommon civility to the search party, who, with their staves in their hands, surrounded him on all sides and marched him back towards the shepherd's cottage. It was 11 o'clock by the time they arrived. The light shining from the open door and the sound of men's voices from within proclaimed to them as they approached that some new events had arisen in their absence. On entering, they discovered the shepherd's living room invaded by 2 officers from Casterbridge Jail and a well-known magistrate who lived at the nearest country seat. Intelligence of the escape had become generally circulated.
Gentlemen, I have brought back your man, not without risk and danger, but everyone must do his duty. He is inside this circle of able-bodied persons. They have lent me useful aid, considering their ignorance of crown work. Men, bring forward your prisoner.
Now, Constable, who is this?
The man.
He most certainly is not.
But how can it be otherwise? Or why was he so terrified at sight of the singing instrument of the law who sat there? He turned tail as soon as he caught sight of that stranger, the hangman for Casterbridge.
I can't understand it. All I know is that he is not the condemned man I saw in my jail. He is quite a different character from this one. A gauntish fellow with dark hair and eyes, rather good looking, and with a musical bass voice that if you heard it once, you'd never mistake it as long as you lived.
And waft him to a far country.
Why, souls, 'twas the man in the chimney corner.
Eh? What? Haven't you got the man after all?
Well, sir, he's the man we were in search of, that's true, and yet he's not the man we were in search of. For the man we were in search of was not the man we wanted, sir, if you understand my everyday way. For 'twas the man in the chimney corner.
A pretty kettle of fish altogether. You'd better start for the other man at once.
The prisoner now spoke for the first time.
Sir, take no more trouble about me. The time is come when I may as well speak. I have done nothing. My crime is that the condemned man is my brother. Early this afternoon, I left home at Shottsford to tramp it all the way to Casterbridge Jail to bid him farewell. I called here to rest and ask the way. When I opened the door, I saw before me the very man, my brother, that I had thought to see in the condemned cell at Casterbridge. He were in the chimney corner, and jammed close to him, so that he could not have got out if he tried, was the executioner who come to take his life. Singing a song about it, and not knowing that it was his victim who was close by, and who was joining in to save appearances. My brother threw a glance of agony at me, and I knew what he meant. He was so terror-struck that I could hardly stand, and not knowing what he did, I turned and hurried away.
And do you know where your brother is at the present time?
I do not. I have never seen him since I closed this door.
I can testify to that, for we've been between ye ever since.
Where does he think to fly to? What is his occupation?
He's a watch and clockmaker, sir.
A set a wheelwright. Wicked rogue.
The wheels of clocks and watches, he meant, no doubt.
Well, it appears to me that nothing can be gained by retaining this poor man in custody. Your business lies with the other, unquestionably.
And so the little man was released, with a sad and troubled look on him concerning the fate of his brother. The night was now so far advanced that it was deemed useless to renew the search before next morning. Next day, The quest for the clever sheep stealer became general and, to all appearances at least, keen. But the sympathy of a great many countryfolk in the district was strongly on the side of the fugitive, believing the punishment to be cruelly disproportioned to the transgression, and in admiration of the thief's marvellous coolness and daring in a hobnobbing with the hangman at the shepherd's party. Stories were afloat of a mysterious figure being occasionally seen in some old overgrown trackway or other, remote from the main roads. But when a search was instituted in any of these quarters, nobody was ever found. Thus, the days and weeks passed without tidings. The bass-voiced man of the chimney corner was never recaptured. Some said that he went across the sea, others that he buried himself in the depths of a populous city. At any rate, the hangman never did his morning's work at Casterbridge, nor did he meet anywhere at all, for business purposes, the genial comrade with whom he had passed an hour of relaxation during a stormy night in the lonely house called Higher Crowstairs on the slope of the Coombe.
The narrator was played by S.J. Vant. Ed Clark and Emma Willits were Shepherd and Mrs Fennel. The first stranger was played by Mike Ayres, the second stranger by Mark Ravano, and the third was Richard Vince. Jim Newberry played the magistrate. Jane Pulford was the first guest. Sid Moon played the constable, and Mark Smith was the jail officer. The piece was adapted and directed by Jim Newberry, with all sound and effects crafted by Robbie Burgess. It was a joint venture between Revenge FM and Uptake Productions.